All right, ladies, we're going to get started, and I would just again like to thank you all for joining me at this masterclass webinar tonight, 5 Secrets to Awakening Your Confidence. My name is Ali Sugars, and I am also known as the Motivation Mama. Now, this name, I know people say, where in the heck did you come up with that name, Ali? And it's really interesting the way it came about. I was in a workplace, which I'll share a little bit about coming up, where I was working in the front office of a school, and my colleagues would come up to me and ask for advice quite often, and they would always walk away saying, "You're just so motivational and inspirational and encouraging," which was a big compliment. So I went, great. On the other side of that, I had the children and their parents coming up to me telling me that, "Ali, you are just like everybody's mum." I'm like, oh, that's another compliment. So hence the name, the Motivation Mama, just kind of came to be. So it's a very unique name, and do you know what? I'm owning it. I absolutely love it. But today you can just call me Ali. All right. So we're going to start the webinar by just letting you know how I'm going to run it tonight. So if you haven't already, ladies, if you haven't already closed down your other programs, your windows, tabs, anything that might tempt you to get distracted, pop your phone on silent, pop it upside down, which I've just done now. So because what we really want to do is make sure that you get the most out of this evening, out of this masterclass. Now, just to let you know, there will be time for questions later on in this masterclass, and I'm going to answer as many of them as I can towards the end. If you would like to pop them in the chat as we go, you are very, very welcome to do so. But you never know. Quite often what I find is people will pop questions in the chat and they'll get answered along the way. But you're welcome to do that, and I will come back and go through the chat at the end. So, ladies, I am here tonight to share with you, as we've said, the 5 secrets to awakening your confidence. And something that you are going to hear me say a lot tonight is talking about the perfectly imperfect you. Now, of course, we've got 90 or so minutes together, and I'm not going to be able to tell you everything I know in 90 minutes. So I am going to share with you throughout the evening and at the end as well, more details on how, if you would like to become a part of my incredible Phoenix Method program, how you can do so. Plus, if you stay toward the end, I've got a little surprise for you, because, you know, I'm feeling generous tonight, and I would love to have the opportunity to give you this free gift that I have ready and waiting for you. And all right, so let's go. But you have to stick around to the end to be eligible for this free gift. All right, my lovely ladies. So let's get going so we can make the best of our time together tonight. So I want to share with you first a little bit about me and why I have such a passion of coming on and talking about this topic, and how I have come to talk about this topic so passionately. So this is a picture of me at around about the age of 16, 17. Now, I am a born people pleaser, and I know that a lot of people I talk to, and this may be you as well, are born people pleasers, right? Now, on top of that, I was bullied at school quite significantly, and I would say mainly in my high school years. Now, this resulted in this people pleaser in me being, you know, the thought of having to keep people happy and do and say whatever I needed to do to please them and keep them happy. It just really exacerbated that feeling. So at 16 years old, I entered into my very first romantic relationship. And unfortunately, because of this people pleaser mode and the type of person that he was, this was a very sexually abusive relationship. Now, I'm very grateful that A, it didn't last long, and B, my parents helped remove me from that situation. So that was my entry into the romantic world, if you like. Now, this picture here, well, let me get the picture up first. This picture in 1996 is, by this time, I had been married for 3 years. So I got married at 20. You're going to be able to work out my age now. I got married at 20, and we had been married for 3 years in 1996. Now, there was a lot going on, and that picture itself tells a story, right? We had 2 children under the age of 14 months. My husband was unemployed. We had a mortgage that we couldn't afford. As you can see in the picture, all the furniture we had was, either donated or secondhand, bought secondhand. We began a home-based business to be able to bring in some money. Now, I had postnatal depression as well after the birth of my children, and I didn't know it at the time, but my husband was taking drugs. Now, this I describe as a boiling pot ready to boil over. And it really did, in the sense of abuse. It became a very domestically violent marriage. Now, this also resulted in me having a total lack of confidence, as you can imagine. Now, we're here to talk about, awakening our confidence today. Now, also, this picture in 1999, I talk about there are the two lowest points in my life. This was the first one. Now, here I had been in an abusive marriage for quite a few years by that time. I had developed depression, diagnosed depression, and I was very much had suicidal tendencies. Now, there was a moment, and I don't want to go deep into it here, but there was a moment one night when I had pills laid out on the bed. My husband was away, the kids were in bed asleep, and it was almost like I described as a Hunger Games moment when I had these pills in my hand up to my mouth ready to take. The only two things that stopped me from taking that action were those two children in that photo. And, I get a bit choked up when I say that, because I'm so grateful to have these children in my life and to still be here to tell the story. So, as you can imagine, my parents could see what was going on. Again, I thank God that both they helped educate me and remove me from the situation, and the children as well, which meant that I embarked on something called single mum life. Now, if you are here and you are a single mum, you will know that is a whole new experience, right? I didn't just leave and everything was okay. I needed to recover. I sought professional help and I got myself on medication, and I really began to realize as I was going through this recovery process that I was actually pretty good at this thing called life, as well as this thing called parenting. I wasn't perfect. And again, you're going to hear this a lot tonight, perfectly imperfect, but I was pretty good at it. The one thing that I wasn't seeing, though, was myself as a complete success, as a whole person, if you like. And let me explain that. So I was still of the belief that to be seen as a success or a whole woman, that I needed to have a significant other in my life, or that I needed to provide my children with a father figure in the household. So I went in search of another man. I found someone online very quickly. We got together, we got married very quickly. And I truly believe that this was both of us got married for all the wrong reasons. Now, this did not last very long, this relationship, and I'm grateful for the fact that it didn't last very long, because this time I could actually see, I was more aware, and I could see what was happening in the fact that it was quite neglectful and financially abusive. So I ended this relationship. At this stage, this was when I started to realize that, oh my goodness, the only person I really need to work on here is me. I don't need a man in my life. I don't have to have a man in my life. Or the only person I need to work on and can make me a whole person is Ali. And this is when I went deep into research, and I studied and I looked for things, I learned a lot of aspects that awakened and deepened my self-belief, my spirituality, as well as studying things like effective communication and body language. So it was a very much a recovery process, and I'm trying to think of the word, it's not coming to me. It was very much a recovery process that I went through. And now in 2017, so when I was with that second husband, I entered into a career. Now, I briefly mentioned this at the start. The career that I was in, I worked at the front office as an office manager in a primary school. And about 2 years before I left, so 2015, we had a new boss come in. Now, we quickly realised that this man was quite a narcissist, and the workplace, which was a very happy one, very quickly turned into a very toxic workplace. I personally witnessed and experienced a lot of manipulation, workplace bullying because of that manipulation, and also sexual harassment from the boss. So I was experiencing it and I was seeing it. Now, my colleagues knew that, this was happening. And a couple of them came to me and said, Ali, would you be willing to report him for sexual harassment? You're in the hub of the school. You're probably the one that's seen the most. And given my history, I felt an obligation, not only to myself, but to my colleagues as well, to report him for sexual harassment. So I did. This in itself became a very harrowing experience. Whoops, and I need to do this. Overnight, I lost my job. I found I could not physically or mentally return to that workplace. I had no income all of a sudden. I had no career all of a sudden. I had lost friendships. And again, my confidence was really at an all-time low. I said there were 2 low points in my life. This would be the second one. That picture you see on the screen is me taking a picture of myself, apparently smiling to prove to a friend of mine that I was okay. And I look at my eyes in that photo and I just see how dull, and I see the hurt and the pain in those eyes. It's not a very convincing, happy photo, let's face it. But through all of this, I was diagnosed with anxiety, PTSD, depression again, and total lack of confidence in myself. The difference was this time is that I made the decision that I was going to recover from this, just like I'd recovered from everything else. And I was going to recover better than I ever had before. And I was never going to let anyone treat me like that again. So today, here is Ali, 4 years later. I am really happy to say and proud to say that my friends and I describe myself as a happy, healthy, outgoing, bubbly person with a zest for life. And I own that and I love it. I also have an incredible network around me. This tall drink of water here is my partner, Craig. I call him my 3rd time lucky man. We have been together now for 8.5 years and he supports me in every single thing I do. He is amazing. My children that you saw in the photo who were babies, that 3rd photo there is them all grown up. They are now in their mid-20s, Harley and Taylor, and they are just my heart and soul, those children. In the first photo there, the young lady in the front is my son Harley's wife, Jessie Lee. And the last picture you can see there on the right they're my peeps. I call them, they are my best friends, the people who would do anything for me, and vice versa, I would do anything for them. We're going to talk about connection and how you make it today. So I'm really proud to say that, I have now taken every single thing that I've learned along the way, all the study that I've done, and I now have an absolute passion. This is why I run these masterclasses. I have a passion for all women who have experienced, really significant changes, hardship, trauma, whatever it is, to come back into your confidence, into your self-worth, and learn to love the perfectly imperfect you again. To bring you from the darkness, there might be some dark times that you've been through, and bring you back into your empowered, confident self. It's very exciting. There's no greater joy for me to see someone go from a real complete darkness in not believing in themselves to stepping into their empowered, confident self. So ladies, I now work as a women's transformation coach. I am a certified business coach. I have a Heart and Soul Business Academy is being launched in July this year. Very exciting. I am a motivational speaker. I am the author of From Fight to Freedom. I'm the host of the Purple Warriors podcast, and I'm also on the committee of Healing Through Love. Those last 2 are specifically aimed at women who have survived domestic violence, because as you can imagine, that is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and I'm very proud of that. So that's me. This is why I have such a heart and a passion to do what I do. So you are here tonight to hear about the 5 secrets to awakening your confidence. Let's get into that, shall we? So I'm going to tell you straight up what the 5 secrets are, okay? And as we go along tonight, we're going to go deeper into them. So the first one is self-awareness. Now, self-awareness is all about being in touch with yourself enough to know that you want to change your thoughts, feelings, and circumstances, okay? Now, I say want because there is a big difference between needing to change and then knowing and wanting to change. All right, that's very, very big, very, very big difference. So it's really important that you get to the stage where you want to find solutions that will help you grow, rather than just sitting back and hoping that stuff is going to happen to help you grow and to bring you back into your confidence. Unfortunately, the majority of the time when we sit back and wait for things to happen, they probably won't. So it's important that we come to that self-awareness that we want to change. Secondly, we have acceptance. So accept that you are not and you never will be perfect. What have I said several times tonight already? I've said that you are perfectly imperfect. Ladies, life is an absolute growth journey, isn't it, as we go along? So what we need to do is honour where we're at now, even if it's in a really crappy situation, because I know what happens for a lot of us is that we sit back and we wait for this hypothetical perfect version of ourselves to exist before we start to move on. Now, unfortunately, she doesn't exist. So we need to be comfortable in ourselves in the now, right now, but also with the knowledge and be able to remember that we still have the choice to learn and to grow and to move forward. Sorry, I'm just letting someone in. So the third one is, let me get back to it, connection. The third one is connection. So I showed you a picture before of my support network, my friends, my peeps, right? So it's important that when we get to these situations where we just feel a total lack of confidence, that I recognize that we often feel like we're alone. However, we are not alone. And no one, absolutely no one, deserves to be alone. So it's important that we find connection with people that are going to help us on our growth journey. So people who understand us, right? Rather than maybe when we talk to them, they feel sorry for us, that they will encourage us, that they will lift us up and help us move forward. That's the type of deep connections that we want. And the fourth secret is embracing change. Now, a lot of changes, no doubt, you've heard some of my changes tonight, have already happened in my life, and no doubt they've already happened in your life too. But it's the old saying, isn't it, that, sometimes we go along life and it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 3 steps forward, 1 step back, or whatever it is, But here, as we embrace the changes, good and bad, and we're going to talk deep into this tonight, as we embrace the changes, good and bad, every single step you take is moving you closer towards your dreams and your goals. And we're going to talk about dreams and goals as well tonight. And speaking of dreams and goals, the last one is abundance. So this is all about connecting with your future self in order to create the life that you absolutely deserve, the life that you deserve, the life that you want for yourself. And again, abundance is something that we're going to talk about tonight. So we're going to start getting deeper into it right now. And we're going to talk about learning to love yourself just as you are. What did I say? I've said it a few times, the perfectly imperfect you. Now, if you haven't started to write notes, I would suggest that you write this statement down, and you might want to write it down in the first person as an affirmation. So you are absolutely the most important let me start again. You are absolutely the most important person in your entire universe. You might like to write it down as an affirmation that you can repeat back to yourself, as in, I am absolutely the most important person in my entire universe. And I want you to remember that. This is part of that self-awareness, that you are important enough to work on. And I think that's something that when we have a massive lack of confidence, we forget, we don't feel important. But I'm here to tell you that you are the most important person in your entire universe. So write that down, lovely ladies. So let's talk about how we can awaken our confidence tonight. All right. So the first thing I want you to think of, and you might think this is a little weird, all right. Now, I want you to start listening to your inner critic. Now, you've probably all heard of the term, the inner critic. I refer to it as something totally different. I refer to her as the itty bitty shitty committee, right? And I didn't come up with that term. I got it from somewhere else, but it just sat with me because what it is this little voice in our head that tells us all the things about us that are not true. All the things, like we're not good enough, we're fat, we're ugly, we'll never be as good as her or him, or, whatever it is, we're dumb. That's something that my committee has always tried to say to me quite often. But so I call it, instead of the inner critic, I call it the itty bitty shitty committee. Now, I'm going to refer to it tonight as the committee because I don't want to have to say the whole thing all the time. Now, let's face it, right? If we let ourselves, if we let these thoughts continue, then on a daily basis, because she tries to get in there, and if we let them continue on a daily basis, what happens is we go into a place of overwhelm. And what happens if we don't then deal with this feeling of overwhelm, of all these negative thoughts? We can very easily and quickly go into a state of depression or a depressive state. I don't want to diagnose it as depression because I'm not a doctor, but we can easily go into that state of depression. And what happens when we get to this state is often we feel the necessity to share it with other people, to share our feelings with other people. And why sometimes that is healthy, what I see often and what I have done often is that we find ourselves repeating the thoughts over and over and over again to family and friends. And when this happens, it's actually doing the opposite than helping us, right? Because when we're doing it over and over again, we're cementing these beliefs in ourselves and we start to live in this pity party. And I know that sounds harsh, but again, I've been there in that pity party state. When we get to this state, it doesn't help us move forward. We end up staying stuck, okay? And it's no good to be in this space. So let's talk about now how we can actually move forward. So what we need to do is question our committee, question our inner critic. All right, I'm sure you've heard this before and I've mentioned it tonight, the word affirmations. All right, we need to take these overwhelming negative thought patterns that we're having and we need to create positive ones, turn them into affirmations for ourselves. So what I want you to do is I want you to really start to listen, actively listen to what your committee is saying to you. And this is going to help you get into a habit, all right? You're going to start to hear what she's saying, hear what you're saying to yourself and the stuff that you're saying that isn't true. And what happens is very quickly, we tend to get into, where we start to actively listen, we tend to very quickly get into a subconscious pattern of hearing these thoughts when they come, all right? And then it's quite easy to stop and to realize what we're saying and then to create an affirmation for ourselves. So I think the best way for me to describe this is to give you an example. So I have a younger brother who's 2 years younger than me. He's very academic. He got an honours degree in uni and he's a very bright man. I am personally not naturally academic. I never went to uni. I didn't do any further education till I was in my mid-30s, and that's okay. I'm good with that now. But I recognize that something, and when I first practiced this, I realized something that I was saying to myself a lot was when I made a mistake, I would say, "Oh my God, you're such an idiot." And I did not realize how often I was saying that to myself, not only in my head, but I would say it out loud. So when I started to actively listen to how often I said that, it has now developed into a subconscious pattern for me to, when I hear myself, and it doesn't happen nearly as often as it used to, but when I hear myself say, "You're an idiot," I will stop and go, is that true? I don't think so. I don't think it is at all. And I will turn that around, turn that negative thought around into an affirmation. So instead of saying you're such an idiot, I'll just go, you know what, Ali, you are a beautiful, smart, intelligent woman. What can you learn from what just happened? And that feels a hell of a lot better than me telling myself I'm an idiot. So we question our inner critic. We consciously listen, then we question her, and then we subconsciously start to hear it, and then it becomes a habit to create affirmations as we go. Now, let me ask you, ladies, can you look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, "I love you"? When I ask you this question, I'm really curious, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel, when you think about telling yourself "I love you" into the mirror, does it make you feel emotional? Does it make you feel empowered maybe? I've had a lot of people who've said they feel empowered. Some people, I've had them, they say they feel worried. A lot of ladies I work with will cry at the drop of a hat when they think of telling themselves "I love you." Or are you like me? And honestly, when I first heard this, I thought it was the dumbest idea I'd ever heard. I really did. But I have now come to the belief very, very quickly that this thing called mirror work, which was created by Louise Hay from Hay House, is something that every single person on this planet should be doing. And I get every single one of my clients to do mirror work. This is just the basis of mirror work. There's, we get deep into the essence of it. And I get them to go to the mirror and say, "I love you," every single morning. Now, when you think about this mirror work, it might even sound easy, right? But I can tell you from experience that when you are struggling with your self-worth, to say the least, it can be quite challenging. All right. But I want to remind you that, if you're even getting emotional at the thought of it, I want to remind you that you've got this. You can do it. Right. And, even if you are doing it and you're still finding it difficult, I want to encourage you to keep pushing through, because it does get much better. Trust me. As I said, when I first heard of this, I was on my way to Melbourne for a conference, for a marketing conference. And part of the pre-work that we needed to do was, the lady said, "Go to the mirror and tell yourself I love you." And I just go, what the hell has that got to do with marketing? That's just the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. That was literally the thought that I had. But I thought, oh, well, it's part of the work, so I'm going to go to the mirror and I'm going to try it. The minute I tried it, I realized how important it was, because I could not look myself in the eye, let alone get the words out. And that, to me, this was as I was recovering from PTSD from leaving that work situation. I was a basket case for the rest of that afternoon. I was bawling on the couch. But that was the moment when I realized just how much I needed to be able to say this to myself. So I kept going back. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I kept pushing through day after day after day. And now here I am 4 years later, and I love doing my mirror work every day. It did take me a little while. The next day I went back and I was able to glance at myself in the mirror, still couldn't say the words, and a few days later I was able to at least mumble the words, and so on and so on. It got better and better, but I kept pushing through. Now, as I said, this is something that I am very passionate about, is mirror work. So if you're not doing this, I would encourage you to start and to give it a go. Go to the mirror tonight, tell yourself I love you, and take note of what your committee is saying to you when you do that. And keep pushing through. Go back tomorrow, keep pushing through until you begin to believe it. So, ladies, the steps that we have spoken about so far, and we've got lots to come, right? I recognize that they can be a challenge for some people. I get that. And, because I've been there, you heard my story, right? But it's a really weird thing when you start to put this stuff into practice, because you know it's going to be a challenge, but you learn to love the challenge because you start to recognize that, as you do keep pushing yourself forward, that you can see the improvement. You can start to feel the improvement, and it almost becomes like a positive addiction to keep challenging yourself to push through. Now, again, it's not easy. None of this is easy to begin with. But I can tell you that I have seen and worked with ladies who have come to me with just, believing everything was hopeless, that they just didn't know, they didn't think they could move forward, to now, they are literally jumping out of bed or skipping or getting up, maybe fast because it's cold weather, it's middle of winter, skipping out of bed in the morning, and they are, looking forward to going to the mirror and telling themselves, I love you. And, I've had a couple of ladies say to me, oh my God, I go back to the mirror all through the day because it just makes me feel good. Or when they're having a difficult time, they'll just keep doing it. So here's a bit of a fact for you, and this may sound harsh too, but taking responsibility for ourselves and our thoughts is the most important attribute that we have in our own lives. So as you think about taking responsibility for your life, for yourself, I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. Am I ready to accept the challenge? Do I recognize that it won't be easy? And am I willing to give it a go anyway? Now, if you answered yes to all 3 of those questions, you are ready, girl. You have got this. All right, so let's move on. Let's go forward. I can't wait to share the rest of what I've got to share with you tonight. Now let's talk about, this is another secret, is embracing life's changes. So this quote from Socrates, it quite excites me. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Now, a lot of the time people ask me, they'll say to me, Ali, do we not need to deal with the old? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. We do need to deal with the old, but it's important that, just like our negative thoughts, that we don't dwell in the old. So yes, we have to deal with it, but then we need to move on and concentrate on building the new. And that is the part that excites me, because we can leave that old stuff behind, right? And not dwell on it anymore. Let's focus on building the new. Now, with change, we need to recognize that change is inevitable. And, it's even, fortunately, sometimes unfortunately, it's even necessary. Because without change, life would be boring. And sometimes that's hard to accept, that life would be boring without change. But, it's a little bit ironic, because it takes us to adapt to these changes as they happen in all the different stages of our lives to be able to thrive and to put us on a path to stability in our life, right? So let's talk now about how we can adapt and embrace these changes that are happening in our lives as they happen. So, talk about change. There are certain things that we can control, okay? Things that we've spoken about so far tonight. We've spoken about we can control and retrain our thoughts, control our brain. We can control our actions. But there are things that happen around us in our environment that we can't control. So we can't control other people's thoughts and actions. We can't control some environmental things. And I mean, let's just put this out there. What's something that's happened in the last year that's affected the whole wide world that no one has had control over? Okay. And I'm just going to say it, COVID and lockdowns, this is a massive change. And this is something that almost everyone in the world has found it extremely difficult to deal with. And it can be difficult to acknowledge and deal with when it happens. So what we need to remind ourselves of is that change comes into our life to help us grow in all the different aspects of our lives. And a couple of those areas being grow in our strength. And of course, what we're here to talk about tonight, grow and build our confidence. And I'm even talking about the tough changes, absolutely the tough changes. You know, when we go through rough changes, and you heard my story, I've been through quite a few, you know, they're just the big ones. There have been smaller ones as well. But, you know, what I see and what I have experienced myself is that every single time we go through these changes, when we get to a period, and it may take a little while, when we can look back on these changes and we can look back and say, what did I learn from that experience? Have I grown from that experience? And I can guarantee that you have grown, you know, in some way, if not in many ways. I can guarantee you have. And again, you know, sometimes we look back straight away and it's too soon. But other times, you know, we can get to a point where we're ready to look back and you just go, oh, right, that's what I learned from that. That's fantastic. So embrace the changes, you know, even the rough ones, because you then know that you know, this is teaching you something. You're going to grow from it in some way, shape or form. Now, when it comes to fears around change, you know, there comes time, probably many times in our life, when we need to make changes. Okay, so I said there are changes that we can't control, but there is times when we need to make these changes in our lives. And something that we need to ask ourselves often, this can be a very confronting question, is, you know, am I allowing fear to stand in the way of taking any necessary actions that are going to help me move forward? And, you know, another question you can ask yourself is, what would I do if I had no chance of failing? With this question, this is a powerful question. And most of the time, when you get the answer to this question, when it pops into your head, or the first few answers that come into your head are most likely the things that are going to point you in the direction that you need to take. And then by becoming aware of those fears, you can address those fears, you know, as well as the limiting beliefs that you have around those fears, you know, the impact that all of these fears might have on you reaching your goals. Whoop, there we go. So this slide gets me every time, and I'm gonna share why in a minute. Now, having a healthy perspective on failure. Failure is a part of life, okay? We're here to talk about the perfectly imperfect you. And it totally friggin' sucks sometimes, right? That failure is a part of life. But I want you to remember, as you're listening to this, as you're watching this, that failures are not permanent imperfections or weaknesses. They are not reflections on you as a woman or as a human, because we can actually choose to grow and learn from these failures as well. Okay, just like we're learning from the changes, we're learning from mistakes that we made. Now, often what I see is people making excuses to stick with what they know rather than maybe taking risks to move through the changes, right? You know, that they're avoiding learning new things. And they're avoiding working on themselves so that they can achieve the success, okay? And again, let's take it back to that thought pattern of, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We make excuses why we shouldn't and can't take those risks because it's comfortable to do. And I said to you I was going to tell you why this slide in particular gets me every time, right? Because I honestly dislike the word failure and I don't like the word mistake. In my personal vocabulary, I try very, very hard not to use those words. Obviously, I say it here for the purposes of this presentation, but I prefer to refer to these failures or these mistakes as learning experiences, because every single one is a learning experience. We can learn from everything. Like I said, that affirmation, you know, when I say, Ali, you're an idiot, or when I've said, Ali, you're an idiot, I'll say, you are smart, beautiful, amazing. What can you learn from that experience? And I don't use the word mistake, I say experience, because there's always something we can learn. Whoops. So don't be afraid to try new things, okay? Take risks. And I want you to remember that, again, nobody's perfect. We are all perfectly imperfect. Failures are a part of life as long as we have a healthy perspective on them, and we do recognize that, you know, they're not permanent reflections on us as women or humans, then we are good. So what we need to do is embrace this uncertainty by taking these risks, you know, rather than staying still. And when I say take risks, I mean sensible risks. Like, I don't mean jump out of a plane, you know, with a parachute, because that's something I would never do. Too scared of heights. Something else I would never do is hold a big fat hairy spider, because I don't like them. I'm scared of them. But the risks that you will need to take are going to depend on your unique goals and the fears that you might have around those goals. So here's some more questions that I want you to ask yourself. What are you avoiding? Are you avoiding conversations? Maybe you're avoiding people or certain situations. What are you avoiding? How can I open up more opportunities for yourself? Okay, rather than sitting in that state of just playing it safe. What action can you take to open up more opportunities for yourself? And lastly, we've already asked this question, but I want you to write it down and ask it again. What would I do if I had no fear? Now, if you can, I'm going to leave that there for a second, and I would love you, if you can either take the notes or take a screenshot, because those are three powerful questions to ask yourself. So when you ask yourself these questions, by taking the right risks, okay, and stretching yourself, you are going to absolutely expand your knowledge, and you are just going to help yourself accomplish so much more than you would if you chose to play it safe. Now, I'm going to say though, if you do decide to stay in that safe space, okay, or the comfort zone, let's call it a comfort zone, it's going to be wonderful for a while, because it's a comfort zone. It's comfortable. It's what you're comfortable with. It's what you know. But after a while, you're going to recognize that it really puts limits on what you can create for your own future. So rather than, you know, ignoring it, when we lean forward into the uncertainty that we're feeling, rather than resisting it, we get really good at embracing the changes as they happen. You know, the good changes, the bad changes, the ones we create for ourselves, the ones that we can't control. And as I said before, you know, in a weird way, we learn to love and embrace the challenges in life as they come our way. So I would love to know, pop it in the chat, you know, tell me what's one thing, what comes to mind when you ask yourself, what would I do if I had no fear? I would love to know, and I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to keep an eye on the chat, because I would love to know answers to that question. Now we are going to talk about abundance, creating abundance and connecting with your future self. So I want to take everything that we have spoken about so far tonight, and I want to now really just actively look forward towards this person that you can connect into, you know, the real, true, deep down desires and goals that you have for yourself. Looking into that perfectly imperfect you, because remember, there's no such thing as perfection, all right? Perfectly imperfect. So we're going to start small, right? And this might seem really small, but it is so damn powerful. It's such a powerful place to start. First thing is, I want you to practice gratitude. Now, when we talk about gratitude, we often think of it as something to do at the end of the night, you know, when before we go to bed at each night, where we think about the day just gone and what are we grateful for? What's good that's happened? You know, who does that? I do that. And great, if this is something you do, keep doing it, because it is awesome. That's the very correct thing to do, right? But we can take it a bit further. So we can take this gratitude exercise and we can use it in the morning. So something that I have added to my daily routine in the morning is that I lie in bed and I think about what I'm going to be grateful for in the day ahead. So the day that hasn't yet happened. And this is so powerful to do this, and I don't just mean things that you're going to enjoy, right? Because we all know that during the day, there are some things that we're looking forward to. There are some things that we're not. I want you to practice gratitude for the things that you might not be looking forward to as well, okay? This is where it gets really powerful. And you can be grateful for those things as well. What happens is when you can practice gratitude for the things that you might not be looking forward to, is it's going to help you enter into the day on a much higher positive frequency than you would if you kind of went into the day with the attitude of, oh my God, I'm not looking forward to it. I really don't want to do it. You can probably already see the difference. But if you practice gratitude for these things that you're not looking forward to, you're going to go into the day in a more positive note, and everyone else around you is going to feel it as well. So another example for you is last year I told you I'm a certified business coach now, but I had to go through a 6-month certification process to get this achievement and this qualification. And one thing that we had to do was we needed to do regular assessments where we went online and we had to coach our peers and our coach, and then we had to be graded by our coach and our peers. Now, for me, I personally found this very confronting. And every time we needed to do an assessment, I would wake up in the morning and I had 2 choices. I could go into the day going, oh my God, I've got that assessment. I'm really not looking forward to it. I don't want to do it. Or I could choose to go into the day with this frame of mind. I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to go and learn. I have this assessment today. I'm going to learn from my coaches, my peers. I'm going to learn from my coach. And at the end of this, I'm going to have a certification. Now, was it perfect? No. Did I sometimes go into the day with a not so positive attitude? Sometimes, yes. But I know that I could feel the difference when I went into that assessment at the end of the day, which, by the way, wasn't until 6:30 at night. So I had the whole day to get through. When I went into that assessment at night with the positive attitude, I could feel it. And, I believe that if you ask the other participants, they would say, yes, they could feel it. And, you could certainly feel the difference. So, and the thing was, I got my qualification. It actually got to the point where it didn't matter if I passed or not. So when I say practice gratitude and appreciation, yes, it's easy to be grateful for the things that are going to happen, the good things that are going to happen through the day, but be grateful for those difficult things as well. And it'll be amazing how it turns around. So that was our immediate future. Okay, so that was looking forward to the day ahead. Now we're going to take it a little bit further and look into the future. So I want to ask you, how far ahead do you set your goals? Do you set your goals maybe 12 months ahead, like your New Year's resolutions? Or for me, I personally set my goals 6 months at a time because I'm a little bit too impatient. I can't wait for 12 months to find out if I achieved, or get to the point where I've achieved my goals. So I set them 6 months in advance. Some people do it for 2 years. Some people do it for 5 years. But, what I want you to do is pick a time frame that is comfortable for you. And just like you do with your New Year's resolutions, take notes of what you want to achieve and what you want to achieve within a certain time frame, okay? But I want you to also think about what type of person you want to be as you achieve those dreams, goals, and desires. So what are they? Write them down. And then I want you to visualize yourself in these scenarios. So, whatever the scenario is, this is an exercise that, I choose to do in the morning as well. And you can do this anytime throughout the day. When I'm practicing my gratitude, is I do it in bed in the morning. I lie there and I love to visualize my future self achieving these goals and these dreams that I have for myself 6 months down the track. Okay. And it is really powerful. So picturing that person that I want to be, you know, and I want you to do this too. What are you feeling when you reach that goal? What are you hearing? And what are you thinking? What's happening around you? So you're literally stepping into that person that you want to be. So let's talk about being unapologetically and authentically you as you step into that future person. Okay, that person that you are creating in your mind's eye, achieving those goals. Now, I personally dislike the phrase fake it till you make it, right? And so instead, I prefer to use the phrase believe it until you achieve it. It sounds so much better, doesn't it? Now, a lot of people will say to me, Ali, if you're stepping, you know, if you're pretending to be someone that you're not yet, isn't that faking it? And the answer is no. Let me tell you the difference, okay? So I used to be a faker in the sense that way back when I was in my first marriage, it was at the end where it was very stressful, to say the least, in the fact that I would go to maybe church and people would ask me how I was and I would smile and I would say, I'm fine, thanks, I'm great, right? When the truth was inside, I was breaking, I was broken, okay? But for self-preservation, and if you're doing this, I'm not, you know, I'm saying I understand, I'm not, you know, having a go, but, you know, this was for me for self-preservation. I was protecting myself. But the truth was that the happier I was presenting myself on the outside, the more broken I was inside. In that sense, I was faking it, okay? The difference is, though, when we take all of these practices that we've spoken about tonight, and we're putting them into practice, we're not faking it. What we are doing is we are believing it until we achieve it. So we're stepping into that belief that we have that we're going to make this happen for ourselves. Okay. So as you practice that visualization, you know, you might feel like you're faking it. But I want you to remember that you're retraining yourself to believe it. It is possible. It's totally possible. Just like with the affirmations, you know, your committee is telling you one thing, but you are retraining yourself to believe another. All right. What you're doing by believing it until you achieve it is you are putting all that positive energy out there, okay, into the universe. Now, we've all heard about the law of attraction. And this is so, so true. If you're putting that positive energy out there, it's going to come back to you. Now, let me tell you, it was a year now. It was a year almost to the day where I wrote a letter to myself. I was in a course online, and part of the course was we needed to write a letter to ourselves. I wrote this letter again 6 months in advance, and almost to the day, I put this letter in a sealed envelope and I popped it in a drawer and forgot about it. I was doing all the things, you know, practicing the gratitude, visualization, all that. Almost 6 months to the day, I came across this letter and I opened it. And I was pleasantly thrilled to read that every single thing in this letter had come to pass. I had created this future for myself. I had literally believed it until I achieved it. It's very, very exciting. I have since written another letter, and any day now I'm due to open it again. So I can't wait to see what happens that time. Now, one thing I've spoken a lot about tonight is pushing ourselves forward. Okay. And I want to encourage you again to just push yourself forward a little bit more each day. Okay. Even if you're in a place right now where you're feeling, you know, like you're not trusting yourself, that you've got what it takes, I'm going to challenge you. At least make a start, because I can tell you that you have got what it takes. Absolutely you have. But just by making a start, it's going to help you to be able to step into that believing until you achieve it, to step into that future person. All right. And you don't have to do everything all at once. Okay. Even if you are implementing just a little bit at a time, that's okay. You're still moving forward. And I am here to support you to do just that. So we are going to have time for some questions in a minute. Now, I would first of all love to tell you, I hope you've enjoyed what I've shared with you so far tonight, but I'm going to share with you, you know, if you have enjoyed this and you would like to make the decision to move, to work on yourself, believe it until you achieve it and move forward, how you can come with me and work with me in my Phoenix Method program. So this program is a confidence course. It's an online course and it's a coaching membership as well. So it's not just, you know, I'm not just giving you a course and leaving you to it. You get personal coaching with me as well. We go much deeper into what we have spoken about today, into those 5 secrets to awakening your confidence: awareness, acceptance, connection, embracing change, and abundance. And the topics that we talk on are those topics on screen, you know, looking deep into your self-beliefs, releasing limiting beliefs and unhealthy attachments. That's a big one for the ladies I work with. Growth, forgiveness, and trust is also another one as well. Connection, we go much deeper into connection and how you can create space for yourself to find a new tribe. Very deep into abundance. That's got to be one of my favorite topics to talk on. And also how to be unstoppable and going further into creating that incredible future for yourself. So we go very deep into all of it. And we have a lot more. So let me share with you what you will get when you join the Phoenix Method. You will get an online recorded course. You will get Facebook private group access where it's just us in the Phoenix Method. You will have interactive workbooks that you can print out and use whenever you like. We have weekly live coaching circles where you can come and ask anything, you know, talk about anything and get coaching on it in your life. Or maybe you've got some questions around what's going on in the course and you just would like your question answered. I'll also give you 2 individual hour-long coaching sessions with me. And these are so powerful, particularly when, you know, when someone has maybe gone halfway through towards the end of the Phoenix Method. These individual coaching sessions are just powerful to just top it off and just get you looking even deeper into yourself. And a couple of bonuses that I love to add bonuses, is I have added some guided recorded meditations for you. And also something I'm introducing is monthly intensive masterclasses, when it's not always going to be just me, but I'm going to be choosing certain topics and going deeper into them again for these particular intensive masterclasses. So that's an added bonus that you'll get. So as I said, this is a confidence course and coaching, and it is valued at least $2,500. So let me share with you now about some of my amazing clients. So Gia, lovely Gia, she came to me. She was really shy. She was trying to break free from someone in her life, but she didn't feel strong enough. And I can tell you now, I look at Gia's Facebook posts and you know, I hear what she's saying to me, messages she sends me. This woman, my goodness, is speaking up for herself in a powerful manner. She has found her confidence, that's for sure. Trish wanted to move forward in her career, but she didn't know what she wanted to do, and she was really scared because she didn't know. She has now completed a massage therapy course, and she has recently, I don't know if she's finished it, but I know she was looking and studying to be a palliative care massage therapist and work on cancer patients as well. That just, oh my goodness, that just gets my heart. Amanda is a mum of 3 beautiful young children who came to me with extremely low self-esteem because of many instances of violence in her life. She is now taking on life with an absolute vengeance, fiercely independent and showing up for herself in ways that she never thought possible. And I'm so proud of Amanda. Robin, who has asked that her photo not be shown. Robin, similar to me, was being bullied in her workplace. She was applying for jobs to get out of this workplace, but she was getting the interviews, but she wasn't landing the jobs because she wasn't presenting herself with confidence. Now, we work together very closely, and she is now in her dream job. She is now, when she got the job, she got offered a higher pay rate than she expected, and she actually got the hours that she asked for, which were different than what was advertised. And one of my favorites, you know, they're all my favorites. I love all my girls. Sharon, oh my goodness. So Sharon came to me with just massive self-doubt. She didn't think she was good enough in business, in leadership in her church, to have a loving relationship as a single mum. She just had no self-belief or confidence in herself whatsoever. Last year, Sharon ran for national political office in the New Zealand election. Now, this is the dream that she's had for a long time, and never until last year, after working with me, thought she had the confidence to do so. She didn't get elected in. However, she is now running a very successful business, as well as she is still in that political party and has every intention of running for the next election in, I think it's 3 years' time, whatever it is. So I'm so proud. There's just some of my girls that I work with, and I'm so proud of them all. It just makes me so happy to look at that page. So ladies, you know, if you are ready is what I want to ask you, right? So your abundant life awaits you. So let's talk. Normally I would charge $600 for this course, but I just want to make sure that everyone has access to it. So you will get everything that I've shown you included tonight for 30% off at just $420. And I believe Alexis, my lovely Alexis, is going to be putting things in the chat, putting some links in the chat if you would like to book in for that. Thank you, Alexis. Now, if you haven't got that $420, we do have payment plans available. So book in for a chat with me if you'd love. You're very welcome. Or you can hang around tonight. Let me know if you would like to hang around tonight and have a quick chat and book in as well. And we can get you straight into the course. I would absolutely love to have you in. So it's an incredible course. I am so damn proud of it. And I love the fact that my girls come through. And, you know, I was even talking, and I won't mention her name, but I was talking to a lady this week who has, oh my goodness, she has stepped into her confidence and power in the last maybe 3 weeks alone. And she's still in the process of doing the Phoenix method. So, but I can't mention her name because she hasn't given me permission. So lovely ladies, if you would also like to connect with me further online as well on social media, if you haven't already, I think we're all adept with the QR codes now, aren't we? So you can either click the link in the chat that Alexis has just put up, or you can pop your phone to the QR code on the screen there. It'll take you to my link tree, and you can pick and choose where you would like to follow me. You follow me on all of them if you like, I don't mind. But I would love to connect with you in some way, shape or form. So I'm going to open it up now for questions, and I would like to see, does anyone have any questions? Now, in a minute, I'm going to let you know what that free gift is, but I just want to see, are there any questions about anything I've spoken about so far tonight? I'm going to wait for a little while to see. I'm just going to check the chat to see back if anything's, all my Adelaide girls. Nothing in the chat at the moment. Okay, cool. No worries. All right. I'm just going to wait for a little bit because I know sometimes people are busily typing away questions. Oh my goodness. I'm just going to talk while I'm waiting for people to type. I tell you what, I am flying out on Friday on a working holiday, and I'm flying to Brisbane, which I'm very excited about. But I tell you what, my goodness, I'm so nervous about flying. This is the first flight I have been on since everything happened, right? So I'm sitting back and I'm going, oh my God, this is me, you know, the perfectly imperfect Ally. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't realize how nervous I was about flying until it kind of hit me that I have to get on a plane Friday. Oh, that's a bit weird. Anyway, I don't know why I shared that with you. It's just interesting. All right, so I'm going to keep going, ladies. It doesn't look like yet anyone's got any questions, and that is, oh, hang on, Gaynor. Not so many questions, but want to say I'm really looking forward to getting back to the mirror method. Beautiful. And do read more into that. Yep, I did it many years ago and it was near impossible to start, but in the end it gave me so much confidence. Yes, exactly, Gaynor. And that's the thing. It is very, very, it can be, and I'm not going to say it always is, but it can be difficult to start with when you do the mirror work. because it is confronting. And part of it is, and this was the thing that I think I found so confronting, if you saw that picture of me right at the start where, you know, when I had left my job, my eyes were dull. My eyes told a story. And part of the mirror work is that when we look into our eyes and tell ourselves, I love you, if you're not feeling it, that's the part that can be confronting. However, when we continue to do it, this is again, believing it until we achieve it, retraining our brain. It's using affirmations to retrain our brains and our thoughts. It is so powerful. And as I said to you, I was, sorry, typing quickly. That's all right, Kane, no worries. It's all right, I'm hanging around, you know, I'm not in a hurry. You know, when I started doing this, it was difficult, but I very quickly realized how powerful an exercise it was. And that is now why I am so damn passionate about mirror work. And, you know, there's a lot of other things that I'm passionate about too, 100%, as I hope that you've got from tonight. But this was, I think, maybe the moment where I realized how much I needed really to work on myself again to recover from that PTSD. All right. No more questions or no more to say. All right, let's move forward, and I'll keep an eye on the chat. That's okay. I won't go too fast. I'll keep an eye on the chat. All right, my lovely ladies, as I promised, I have a free gift for you because I love to give things away. Now, you've hung around today, and I'm feeling generous. Now, we're talking about mirror work, right? And I want to help you get deeper into that mirror work, right? So I would love to give you free access to the Power of the Mirror course. Now, this is, you know, it's got a few short videos. It is just helping you go that little bit deeper into the mirror work course. It's not as deep as we go into it in the Phoenix method, but it'll give you, you know, a little bit deeper. So if you would like to have access to this course, feel free to pop your email address in the chat and we will set you up. I'll set you up later tonight and I'll give you access into that course. It would be lovely to be able to give that to you. So that is your free gift for tonight. All right, lovely ladies, I'm very excited to give that away. So again, don't forget, if you really want to now, take the bull by the horns. If you really want to get going with some true motivational support and encouragement and guidance over the next 12 months, let's do this, girls. Let's do it. Why wait? If you're here and you've made the decision and you answered yes, you're ready, you're willing to give it a go, but you know it's going to be difficult, but you're going to give it a go anyway. If you answered yes, then now is your time, right? I really want to dive deep into working with you and having you work on yourself so that you can really step into that future perfectly imperfect you. So again, the links are going up in the chat. Alexis can put them in. And again, what you'll get is those online recorded modules, a private Facebook group access, interactive workbooks, weekly live group coaching circles, individual coaching circles, and bonuses. You'll get some recorded, guided, I can't think of the word, meditations, perfectly imperfect. And you'll get monthly intensive masterclasses as well. And that is, we're giving you 30% off tonight. So when you go, just go and use that code WRA30, okay? And again, if you would like to stay around and chat, book a chat, or if you can either book a chat later tomorrow, tonight, or not tonight, but tomorrow. If you'd like to chat now, just let me know. I will stay on the line for a little bit longer. All right. And it would be amazing to speak with you. So, my lovely ladies, I am so happy that you have come tonight, and thank you for taking time out on a Wednesday night, coming and joining 5 Secrets to Awakening Your Confidence. I hope you have enjoyed this webinar, and I hope to see you over in the Phoenix Method and on social media soon.